Mr. President, I must thank you for allowing us to take this bill, which is tagged the People's Bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of the bill for an act to regulate the mode of payment of rents on residential apartments, office space, rooms, and accommodation in the Federal Capital Territory. First, Mr. President, let me clarify certain issues raised in the last few weeks by some of my colleagues in the media, and indeed reactions of landlords questioning our desire for an act of parliament through calls and text messages on the subject matter. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, Section 299A, and I quote, all the legislative powers, the executive powers, and judiciary vested in the House of Assembly, the governor of a state, shall respectively vest in the National Assembly, the President of the Federation, and in the court which, by the virtue of the foregoing provisions, are court established for the Federal Capital Territory. Against this background, Mr. President, the Senate will be performing one of its constitutional responsibilities, which have direct impact on the lives of residents of the Federal Capital Territory. If passed, Mr. President, this bill will improve the well-being and standard of living of residents and minimize corruption and immorality emanating from oppressive tenancy system in the Federal Capital Territory. This bill, Mr. President, will make life less stressful and less painful for the majority of the downtrodden and low-income earners in the Federal Capital Territory. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, today, due to global economic recession, life is indeed very challenging, indeed almost unbearable for low-income earners despite the huge palliative measures by the federal government through the empowered and indeed the direct cash program called Traders' Money. We all know that the federal government has taken into cognizance the poor state of the economy and the directed cash disbursement for the first time in the history of our nation, nationwide, through the office of the Vice President, Professor Adeyemi to cushion the hard economic situation across the length and breadth of our nation today. The first time you have seen the government taking steps to directly address the problems of the hard economic recession in our nation. Mr. President, in the FCT, landlords demand between 1 to 3 years advance rent. This automatically adds a huge burden on the masses, subsequently giving rise to desperation and corruption of majority in this city. Our economy has not fared better in supporting the advance payment for accommodation in this country, Mr. President. In a depressed economy, such as ours, advance payment for rent is indeed an outrageous tenancy arrangement, which is ungodly, un-African, un-Islamic, and un-biblical. Mr. President, even the United Kingdom and the United States, where we derive laws and system of governance, a tenant can only pay for where he has lived for a month. That is, it is a post-paid system, even in advanced economies of the world. This tenancy system, Mr. President, has continuously impoverished Nigerians who are salaried employees that can only pay rent after having received their monthly salary. That is when they are lucky to be paid as at when due. Distinguished colleagues, you may wish to know that many residents of the FCT are finding it difficult to cope with huge rent payments. And as an aftermath to this, Mr. President, many houses built within the city center for such purposes are empty. Of course, they were equally empty because some of these houses were built for stolen funds. Therefore, Mr. President, legislation must be aimed towards a better and developed society and towards justice, fairness, equity, and improved standard of living. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, yearly tenancy has continued to breed corruption, immoral decadence, and huge inequality as low-income earners who cannot afford continually pay their rent as it went due to the exigencies of Shelter for Humanity, engage in measures which are illegal or unlawful, thereby engaging in corrupt practices, immorality, evil criminal acts to meet the pressing need of paying these wicked landlords. In addition, Mr. President, a single-room apartment ranges from 1 million naira to 2 million naira within the city. And in the satellite towns, such as Kubwa, Nyanya, Kuje, Lube, the going rents are still not easily affordable for the common man, because in these satellite towns, they charge between 350 to 500,000 naira annually. This bill, Mr. President, seek to reduce advance payment for new tenants to 3 months, and thereafter proceed with monthly payment schedule, as it is done even in advanced nations of the world. Secondly, Mr. President, this bill seeks to protect low-income earners from any form of oppression by the bourgeoisies who have acquired so much properties. I'm not one of them. Mr. President, you are aware this struggle is our life, and we will continue with this struggle. This bill also seeks, Mr. President, this bill also seeks to provide a window of legal action for any form of oppression, and of course, a safety net for landlords against any tenants. Distinguished colleagues, this particular bill, Mr. President, is targeted at making life more meaningful for the people who voted all of us into office as lawmakers. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I hereby, on behalf of the masses whom I personify this chamber, to beg you that we pass this bill for a second reading. I so submit, Mr. President.
A bill for an act to regulate the mode of payment of rent on residential apartments, office spaces, etc. in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and for other matters connected there with 2022, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Housing to report back in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.